Hey guys. So just a few people in the chat. We got Ruben, we got Seb the Leb, we got Anthony, Firehawk. Thank you guys so much for joining me for my first live stream. As people are starting to come into the chat, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick unboxing of some recent comic book sketch covers that I just got in. We have a Star Wars one, Captain America, Darth Vader, another Darth Vader. I have a ton of new Star Wars sketch covers that I just got in, and I'll be doing some cool characters on these new sketch covers. And so for this video, I'll just be doing a sketch cover of Darth Vader. So I've already drawn it out, and I've airbrushed the background already, since that's what is going to take the longest. So I went ahead and did that. And so for this sketch cover, I'll be using some Copic markers, and then also some Micron pens, a PBO marker, and then for the lightsaber, I'll be using golden paint. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'll answer them as we go along in the chat. So I'm going to get started with a light Copic marker as a base layer. I'm going to be using C6 for the base layer. So in this chat, I also want to talk about how I got started as California Blend and where I got the name from. So basically in my 6th grade science class, we were put into groups to make a toothpaste. And so I was kind of the leader of the group, and I went ahead and named our toothpaste California Blend, and my group ended up winning for creating the best toothpaste. And so at that time, that's when I created my Instagram account, so I went ahead and used California Blend for my Instagram name, and then I just kind of continued to use that for my art as well. And so how I got into comics is with the first Iron Man movie in the Marvel MCU. Oh, hey guys. I'm just looking at the chat. We have Sterling in the chat, Simple Simon, Firehawk, Sean. Hey guys, what's going on? So I was just letting you guys know earlier that I had already done the background, and then I had drawn up Darth Vader, and I'll be using Copic markers. Hey, Low Budget Comics. So right now, I'm just laying down a base layer. So how I got into creating superheroes and my love for superheroes is through the Marvel movies, with the first Iron Man that came out in 2008. I immediately fell in love with Marvel and the Marvel characters, and I began collecting when I saw the first Superman movie, Man of Steel, that they did in the DC Extended Universe, and that's when I started to collect like action figures and have like a Superman backpack, Superman clock. I was very obsessed with the character, so Superman was like my first character that I became obsessed with, and then I fell in love with Captain America, and my current favorite superhero right now is Spider-Man. My favorite Spider-Man is Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU, but originally I was introduced to Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which is really funny because a lot of people love Tobey Maguire, but like when those films came out, I was like 2 years old. So I don't really have a strong connection with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but I do have a great appreciation for what those films did bring to the character. Now, how I got started selling my artwork is that in middle school, I would just doodle in my sketchbook, and so my friends would see me like drawing in my sketchbooks and stuff. And so then one day I had a friend that wanted me to do a drawing for him, so I charged $10 for my first commission. So that's how I started selling my artwork, which was through my friends. And so one day, me and my mom, we were at the comic book store, and we found out about a local comic convention. And so my exposure to comic conventions was San Diego Comic-Con. So I automatically assumed that my local comic convention was gonna be like San Diego Comic-Con, which was just not the case at all. It was actually a very small comic convention. It was Florida, it was PalmCon, and it was in 2015, and at the time I was 14 years old, and I just started painting, so I didn't have a collection. So I spent 2 months getting a collection together for PalmCon, and I only sold one painting. And so right after that comic convention, I was like, I don't want to do comic conventions anymore. This is not for me. But I fell in love with the process, and I became hungry to sell my artwork again and give it another shot at a different comic convention. So I found out about Florida SuperCon, and at the time, that comic convention was down in Miami. So I went there, and it was a completely different ball game. And I saw what I was capable of doing. From the first comic convention that I did, I changed my art dramatically, and I improved my art so much. And at that comic convention in 2016, I ended up selling about 16 paintings, which was really cool. And I was like, ooh, I really love doing comic conventions. So that following year, I returned to PalmCon 2016. And then after that, I went to MegaCon 2017 as well. And MegaCon was a huge eye-opener for what I could be as an artist and what I could do at comic conventions. MegaCon, at the time, it was like one of the biggest comic conventions that I had attended, and it still is. So that's kind of like how I broke into the comic convention world. It was kind of on accident how I did it, but I automatically assumed that all comic conventions were going to be like San Diego Comic-Con, and that is just not the case. And I just want to say hello to some people in the chat. We got a few more people here. Just want to say hello to my mom, Tracy Howard, Roman Curtis, and Two Gun Pedro, Ashton, and yeah, MegaCon is great. Right. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I broke into the comic convention scene. And then by 2018, a lot more people started to figure out who I was. Like, people would come up to my booth and be like, hey, are you California Blend? And so that was pretty cool because I kind of got noticed as California Blend instead of Gabby. So I'm like living a double life, almost like Hannah Montana. I'm Hannah, I'm Miley. But it's a really cool experience. And so the last comic convention that I ended up going to was MegaCon 2019. And at the time, we had no idea that that was going to be my last comic convention because, you know, everything that happened last year. But for 2020, I had a lot of plans to go to different comic convention. I was going to Tampa Bay for the first time, MegaCon, and I had some other plans. But 2020 was the first year that I started selling on my website like consistently. So that was like a huge adjustment to get used to, and that was a very interesting process, trying to figure out what's the best way to package items, to send paintings out securely so that they don't get damaged before they get sent to a customer, and just figuring those things out was a really fun process. Just want to say hello to Latrice in the chat. Please let me know if you guys have any questions about my process, or any questions that you have that you want to ask, and I'll answer them. So yeah. And then also, between comic conventions and my personal life, I started doing dual enrollment in my sophomore year of high school, which was kind of challenging. At the time, I went to an arts high school, and I was a theater major. And with the dual enrollment classes after school, like school started at 8:30, and then we got out at 3:40, and then I would have to go to my local college and do classes till about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and still manage to do my high school work at the same time. And so by the time I became a senior, I ended up graduating with my associate's degree, so that when the school that I go to now is Savannah College of Art and Design, and I go to the Atlanta campus. And I'm actually studying film and TV production because I want to be a film director. But I also love art at the same time. Like, I love them equally, and I would like to pursue both. It's just that right now, being an artist is just more achievable, or I'm getting further in my art career, more so than my film career right now. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Someone said, is there a Star Wars character you want to draw that you haven't done yet? Yes, I actually have a list. I really want to draw IG-11, and then I really want to do Darth Maul, which is a character that I'm going to be doing very soon on a Star Wars sketch cover that I'll be sending off to CGC very soon. Someone said, I hope it's Jabba the Hutt. Loving this one. Your art is always fire. Would you try to draw scenes of a movie? Yes, I would try to draw scenes of a movie. I actually did a couple years ago from X-Men Days of Future Past, that scene where Silver Surfer is, not Silver Surfer, but Quicksilver is in the kitchen running past Wolverine, and he like grabs the chocolate in his mouth. I've actually drawn that scene before, which was really cool. So yeah. So right now I'm just laying down the base layers for Darth Vader's suit. I'm just doing this so that as I build up the values, it'll look more realistic instead of just having one flat color. So my plans coming up for comic conventions. This year, I don't know if you guys saw, but MegaCon recently announced that they are pushing their dates back. Were supposed to have MegaCon this year in March, but they moved it back to August, which I kind of knew what was going to happen since they pushed their dates back so much already. But I can't wait to get back to comic conventions because I have so much to introduce to the comic convention world, and I've only gone to comic conventions here in Florida, and I just want to get out of the state of Florida and go to different comic conventions like C2E2. I mean, the main goal is to like get to San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con. I would love to sell there, or even just attend New York Comic-Con because there's so much that goes down there. Just want to say hello to David. Someone said, gotta go to work. Enjoy the stream. Thanks for coming in, Simon. Thanks for coming in, Anthony. So as I'm laying in the base colors, I'm just trying to keep an awareness of where the highlights are going to be, which are the areas that I'm leaving in white. So for those who came in at the beginning of the chat, I have a few new Star Wars sketch covers that I recently got in, and I'm going to be working on some new characters. I have a couple of Star Wars sketch covers. Some I'm going to be sending in to CGC, and then others I'll just be posting. And then I also have a Captain America one. So, as far as how I got into comics, that is something very new to me. I first picked up my first set of comics when I went to Florida SuperCon in 2019. It was the summer before I went to school. I picked up some comics for the first time, and I really want to get into comic books, but I really did not know where to start. And at the time, I was not interested in reading any modern books. So I was interested in like the early stuff for comics. But this year, during quarantine and stuff, I started to do more digging, more research about different writers and storylines that I want to get into. And so I started picking up modern issues of comics. And some things that I'm currently reading right now is Strange Academy, Thor, The Amazing Spider-Man, Harley Quinn, and those are just a few that I'm reading right now. So now that I've got this base color down using C6, I'm going to be moving on to a darker tone to start fleshing out Darth Vader's suit. So I think I'm going to use N8. Also for sketch covers, this is something that is very new to me as well. I started doing sketch covers earlier last year, around April, when I did my first sketch cover. And I've learned so much, learning how to do backgrounds and how to make the characters look more realistic, which is very different from painting. By the way, if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I normally do paintings, acrylic paintings on canvas. So working with markers and colored pencils and microns is not something that I'm really used to. Yeah, someone said quarantine got us back into reading and collecting. That's so true. What kind of markers are those, Prismacolors? No, I do not like Prismacolors at all. What I am using right now is Copic markers. I'll be using micron pens and a PBO painter marker for when I do the lightsaber so that it stands out. But when I am not using Copic markers, I'll use Ohuhu markers, which are these right here. Just want to say hello to Brent in the chat. So I'll be moving on to N7, or actually N9. Someone asked, how much are you drawing on a base price? Well, it depends on what it is. If it's on canvas, I have set prices depending on the size. Like for example, if it's an 8x10 canvas, it'll be $20. 9x12 canvas, it'll be $30. But for sketch covers, I do have different rates, so you have to hit me up on Instagram. Am I drawing on the back cover of this comic? Also, no. Not unless it's requested will I draw on the back cover, but the only time I'll draw on the back cover is if I'm sending it to CGC, since it'll be visible on both sides. But when I am finished with this, I will upload it to my website. Also, all of my information is linked down in the bio. Just going to be switching markers to N7. So for my sketch covers, I really like to build up the colors and the values so that it looks more realistic, and I haven't even used black just yet. I'm going to save that for the last part. Oh, do I do lives regular? No, this is actually my first live stream, which I was super nervous about. I've been on live before on other people's channels, but I've never had to curate my own live stream before. Is this one sold already? No. I will be uploading it on my website as soon as I finish it, and then I'll be posting it on Instagram tomorrow. So you'll have a chance to grab it as soon as it's uploaded. So this one is going to be 60. Want to say hello to Southern Geek and hey Jacoby. So one thing I like about Copic markers is that they have 2 different brushes. You kind of have this chisel tip, and then on the other side you have the brush, which gives you a more seamless look, and it helps you to blend the colors. Oh, thank you. So yeah, earlier in the chat I mentioned that I have a few Star Wars sketch covers that I purchased. I have 12 Star Wars sketch covers that I will be posting soon and finishing up. And some characters that I'm going to be doing are Wardroid, IG-11, General Grievous, Luke, Han and Leia, Ahsoka and Grogu, and Mace Windu. And then the ones that I'll be sending to CGC are Thrawn, Anakin and Ahsoka. We have IG and Mando, and then Darth Vader versus Ahsoka, and then I'll be doing a Darth Maul, which I'm very excited to do. Southern Geek, can I just buy it now and send it to CGC? Sure. I'll have to discuss with you the rates. Just send me a message on Instagram. Sean, will you do a live stream like this once in a while, or do you plan on making it a regular? I really would like to make it a regular. I'm trying to see how this one goes, because I kind of got to get used to talking at the spur of the moment to keep the chat alive. I was also thinking about, while I'm, drawing, maybe have people come through and also discuss comic books or just anything going on with Marvel or DC. So yes, I would like to do live streams probably like once a week, if that is what people are interested in seeing. Someone said, I hope these live sketch drawings becomes a regular thing, maybe once a month. Yeah, I'm feeling that. And then also, since I have a few people in the chat, I really have a question, because I get this a lot. A lot of people say that they like my work, but they don't have enough wall space for paintings, and they would prefer something smaller. So I haven't really been painting as much. So I was like trying to figure out a good balance between paintings versus sketch covers, or even switching to something like Bristol board. Since what I do is painting, so I would just like to hear your guys' opinion on that matter. So as you can see, we got a little bit more detail going on. And one thing I really like about sketch covers compared to paintings is that the process is 10 times quicker, which means that I can produce sketch covers more quickly, more so than paintings, because paintings can take hours, anywhere from like 25 hours to 5 hours for a quick, short painting. So it's a lot that goes into these paintings as well as sketch covers. Cool. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm finished with the live Southern Geek. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any more questions. Yeah, that's why I like sketch covers, easier to store and or hang opposed to big prints. I can say the same thing. I have about 100 plus paintings stocked up in my closet, and they take up a lot of space. And yeah, I agree. Sketch covers, I like them a lot. Do I listen to any music while painting? If so, what kind? Yes, I always listen to music. Before, when I used to paint in my earlier days, I used to watch TV, but I need to focus, and music helps me to move faster and work faster, more intently. So yeah, I like listening to EDM music a lot. Anything that's super upbeat to keep me going. Someone said she'll do more live streams if they keep selling before they're even done. True. Thank you, Southern Geek. Yeah, it'll be very cool when cons get back going, because when comic conventions were up and running, I was not selling sketch covers. I was just selling paintings. So that's something new that I'll be able to introduce when I go back to comic conventions. Like, I'll have CGC slabs and also sketch covers. Maybe I'll have more sketch covers than I'll have paintings. At that time, I have no idea. But it'll be so cool to get back to comic conventions, since I was just scratching the surface on getting into that world. And I just want to go to different comic conventions that are popular, like WizardCon and C2E2. See, we're getting more defined. Non-art questions. What ideas do you have for film directing, since you have done some short films? Yeah, so I really like stories that are very different. I won't say complex, but I like weird topics to explore when it comes to film. I like to do things that haven't been done before, kind of like dystopian or period pieces in a way, almost like doing a film that takes place in the 1950s or 60s, but exploring different avenues in areas like that. I like doing stuff that's super out of the box, or stuff that you wouldn't think that is coming. So yeah, I have a ton of scripts that I have for when it does come time to get back to shooting films. I really want to submit to different local festivals, because indie films are kind of like the thing. So that's kind of how you can get discovered as a film director or writer, is to go through film festivals. That's how your name is going to get noticed, how you can possibly get distributed into theaters and stuff. So that's an avenue that I really want to go down as soon as things can clear up and I can get back to shooting, because I have a ton of film ideas. Cool feature film ideas, yeah. Oh yes. Hello, Alex. So for my last CGC submission that I did, I tried to come up with some different characters to put on sketch covers. I did Bo-Katan, another Ahsoka piece. Then I did one of Mando and Boba Fett on the back. And then I did one of Groot and Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. Something is Killing the Children. I did one of Erica Slaughter. I did one of Chani from Dune. And I did one of Black Manta. And Oh, and I did one of Red Skull, and so that's a video that I recently did. And I sent those out the week of Christmas, which probably wasn't the best time to send to CGC. They were delivered there on the 28th, and they haven't been put in as received just yet. So I don't know exactly what the wait time is. Last time it took about a month, so that was pretty good, but I don't know if I'll get lucky this time around. I don't know how long it's going to take to get those books back, but I am working on my next batch. My next batch is going to be just Star Wars books, and so I'm going to be doing some cool Star Wars characters for my next CGC submission coming up soon. Oh, you said, does CGC move faster for artist submissions than they do the common submissions? I want to say yes. When I signed up to be a CGC artist, it says that like one of the accommodations is that your stuff is fast tracked. So I believe so, and plus the pricing is different for to submit as an artist. But because I've never submitted as a collector, so as an artist you have to submit a couple of forms to verify that you are the artist creating on that sketch cover and stuff like that. So yeah. I want to say hello to Ramona. Also, we have a Marvel TV show coming up on Disney Plus, WandaVision, which I'm crazy excited for. Vision is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I really wish that he had more screen time. I loved his introduction in Age of Ultron. And in this TV show, I'm not sure if they're gonna bring him back. Like I said in previous videos that I made, I think that it's just an alternate reality that Wanda has created for herself. Or maybe Vision could come back for real, but I think he's dead. I'm not sure, but if they did bring him back, I would be excited. Thank you. And it says, just glad the MCU is finally giving us something new. Yeah, totally. I'm excited for all their TV shows that are coming out this year. I know Marvel's schedule kind of got messed up because Black Widow was supposed to come out before we saw the TV shows, so I don't know if that will mess up the continuity with some of the things that we're going to see in the TV shows, but we have some great things coming out from Marvel, and especially for Winter Soldier and Falcon. That is going to be amazing, coming out in March. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to 100, which is like pure black, and start working on some deeper shadows. Thanks for coming. Where do I get my markers? So these are Copic markers. I normally just get them from my local art store, which is Jerry's Artorama, or you can get them from Michael's or Blick's or Amazon if you want to buy them in packs, which I would recommend. But when I go to Jerry's, they're normally on sale for about $5 to $6. But I mainly use the Copics for skin tones and then also for backgrounds as well, because I have the Copic marker airbrush system, which is how I get my backgrounds to be so smooth. But outside of that, I use a combination of Copic markers and Ohuhu markers, which you can buy off of Amazon. Also, since I'm doing a Darth Vader sketch cover, how did you guys enjoy Mandalorian Season 2? Like, I'm crazy excited for Star Wars and what they are doing. Well, what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing with the franchise. And just because of the things, all the things that they introduced into Season 2 of The Mandalorian, like, I'm very familiar with the Star Wars universe, but I noticed that they were mentioning a lot of things that appeared in Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated TV show. And so I recently started to watch that show because I've never seen it all the way through. And there are so many cool things. I love Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the animated TV show. That's like my favorite thing that I'm watching right now. Just to see Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan and General Grievous, because I'm on Season 1 right now. I'm loving it. And can't wait for her solo TV show and Admiral Thrawn. Star Wars is kind of like rebooted itself. Is there any characters from indie titles, not from Marvel or DC, that you are interested in drawing? See, like, the thing with indie books, the only character that I've like touched or drawn from an indie book is Erica Slaughter from Something Is Killing the Children. Outside of that, I was maybe thinking about doing a Saga character, perhaps. Or, because, that's a tough question. I probably have to think more on that, on what are some characters from some indie books, because outside of that, I just know Ice Cream Man, Lady Killer, but I would have to dive deeper into indie books, which is something that I'm trying to do, because it's a great medium in the comic book world. You have some fresh stories outside of the superhero genre, which is really nice. So I'm going back in with the black marker to add in some more details. And then also, as of right now, I think I'm just gonna stick with sketch covers and then kind of paint as I go. I haven't been feeling up to painting on canvas as much, but I recently did Boba Fett because I was like, I should really do a Boba Fett painting with the flames coming from his armor. which is a very fun painting, but I think I'm going to be doing more sketch covers full time instead of paintings. Thanks for joining in, Sean. I will be posting this on my Instagram tomorrow, just in case you want to see the final product at 5 o'clock. So as you can see, we're starting to have a little bit more definition, and there's still a lot more work to be done, but you can kind of see what my process is like when I'm normally working off camera. So I'm going to be switching back to N8, which is a neutral gray, to help blend between the black and the lighter colors. Hello, Sharon. How long does it usually take for you to complete this type of drawing? Well, for something like this, I'm kind of a slow artist, and it takes me a while to get something right. So for this drawing, it took me about 2 hours, which is normal for me. One thing that I did struggle with was the hands, this hand in particular, and I had to change the shape of it a couple of times. I want to say hello to Rochelle. Thank you. And if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Oh, you're not a Star Wars fan? Ah. I didn't come on to liking Star Wars until like my early teens. I actually watched Star Wars for the first time at school in one of my language arts classes in the 9th grade. And we watched Star Wars A New Hope in class, and before that I was introduced to the characters. Like, I was aware of like Yoda, Luke Skywalker, but I had no idea that Luke and Leia were like brothers and sisters. So I was like, what? So that was my first time watching Star Wars. And then of course I went ahead and I watched all the movies. And that was around the time where Force Awakens was about to come out, so that was perfect timing to go back and watch all the Star Wars movies. Have you done any classic horrors like Friday the 13th, Jason, or Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy? No. No, I have not. But if you would like something commissioned for me to do for you, either on a canvas or blank sketch cover, you can just hit me up, and I'm always open for commissions on anything that you would like to have created. Just want to say hello to Jeff in the chat. Hello to John. Hello to Darian. Going back in with the black marker to further define. So earlier in the chat, I mentioned how I got started with selling my artwork at comic conventions. At the time, I was 14 years old when me and my mom, we went to our local comic book shop, and I found out about a comic convention that was happening nearby, and that was PalmCon. And this happened in 2015, but this comic convention no longer exists. But I spent 2 months preparing paintings, and at that time I had just started painting, so it was all very new to me, and I had a lot of pieces prepared for this comic convention, and I only sold one painting. So at that time I was very upset about that, but I was very determined to try selling my artwork at a comic convention again. So the next year I went ahead and I sold my artwork at Florida SuperCon, and it was a great experience. I sold about 16 paintings. So from then on, I've been selling my artwork at comic conventions, and that's mainly what I was doing before everything happened. But this year was like the first year where I had to learn how to send out paintings from my website, because before then I was mainly selling at comic conventions and maybe a painting here or there off of my website. So I had to adjust to how to ship in a way that was very cost effective and still a good shipping price for my customers, and then packaging up paintings. Like, the way I was packaging paintings are not how I package paintings now. I've learned so much from the previous year. But I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I think Darth Vader and Skywalker are somehow connected. Yes, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's and Leia's father. But he was Anakin Skywalker, but then he turned to the dark side. So Darth Vader was, yep, that's his father. Want to say hello to Darian. Thank you. Just laying down more and more layers to add some depth to this piece. Do I know how to draw the X-Men? Yes, I do. I actually have a few X-Men sketch covers on my website right now. I've dabbled in just about every Mainly more Marvel superheroes than DC, but I can draw anything that you need me to draw, or that I want to draw. He said Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Yes, spoiler alert. Oh yes. Do you know how to draw JoJo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? Yes. I've been meaning to do some more anime characters just to appeal to a wider audience. So yeah. Yes, Colossus. I've done two Colossus paintings before. Firehawk said yes, you got a Cyclops from me, a sketch cover, which is very cool. I had fun with that piece. Also, if you'd like to purchase any of my art, I have my website link in the description, and then also my Instagram link down below if you don't already follow me. See? So, just letting you guys get a closer look as where we are right now. Still using the black marker for more details. Someone said, have I done Hulk before? Yes. Yeah, for Marvel, there's not really any character that I haven't done before. I've done a lot of Marvel characters. Now for DC Comics, there's definitely a few characters that I just have not done. But I'm more of a Marvel fan than I am DC Comics. So that's what I tend to draw. Or I just draw what is kind of popular. Like for example, Star Wars. So I have a bunch of Star Wars sketch covers that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be switching to a different marker, I think in 7, to help blend out this area in his mask more. The Punisher, yes, I've done the Punisher before. Do I know Corey Kenshin? No, I do not think so. So once I'm finished with this piece, I'll be putting it up on my website, and then I'll also be posting the final product on my Instagram page tomorrow. Switching back to the black marker. Oh, thank you, Katia. So yeah, coming up in the further days in the month, I would like to start doing more live streams of the sketch covers that I'll be working on for the week. I think I might keep it at doing live streams on Wednesdays. It seems to be a pretty good day. For people to watch live streams. No, I have not heard of Corey. Switching to N7. But if you're interested in seeing any more of my artwork, you can check out my website link in the bio, or also check out my Instagram. And I have more videos on my YouTube channel discussing different superhero events that are going on, and also trailer reactions. And I'm always open for commissions, so if there's anything that you do not see on my website or any characters that I haven't created yet, you can always DM me, email me, or just hit me up any other way to have a custom piece created. I do sketch covers, acrylic paintings. I work on Bristol board with markers, colored pencils. So at this point, I'm almost close to being finished, just trying to add in as many values as possible. And then I'll go in with my micron pen and outline any parts that need to be clarified, and then I'll do the lightsaber at the very end. Oh yes, you would love to see Insomniac Games make an X-Men game. That would be amazing if they did that. I still haven't played Spider-Man on the PS4 or Miles Morales on the PS5. The PS5 is so hard to get these days, so hopefully I was seeing things like different notifications saying that they'll probably have some PS5s in store by February. So hopefully I'll be able to play by then. Thank you. So right now I'm just going to start working on his belt and then also the controls. So I'm going to take a lighter shade. I think I'm going to use N5. So at what point did you fall in love with creating art? Always from a young age, I've always loved to draw, but it didn't become consistent until recent years, probably around like 2015-ish, when I knew that it was my gift. So that's kind of like when I fell in love with creating art, because I just create stuff that I like to see, like superheroes, anything that I'm passionate about. So yeah, we're almost finished. Gonna be moving on to C6, which is a darker shade of gray. Oh, yeah. Where did you get your inspirations from? So from an early age, all of my brothers could draw, so I always looked up to them. when it came to creating art. I was always inspired by what they were drawing, and I tried to imitate what they were doing. And then I just ended up, when it comes to art, I've always liked discovering and using different mediums like watercolor, oil paint, acrylic paint, and then I found out that acrylic paint is what I'm the best at. So that's just something that I've led with. So from my early childhood, I've used my brothers as my inspiration for my art and my foundations of art, and then from there I just kind of learned more about art and my style. Right, I'm going to be switching to a deeper gray. I'm going to going to N7. Just going back to C6 to help blend those two colors together. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. Someone said your style is great. Thank you. Just going back in with black to further define some of these areas. Switching over to C6. Someone said I've never been a Star Wars fan. Now I'm going back to N9, which is almost close to black, but not quite. Then I'm going to be going back to black. Someone said the TV shows of Star Wars is better than the movies. As of right now, yes, that is very true. The Mandalorian, just the last episode of season 2, just that episode alone was better than the recent Star Wars trilogy, which is pretty sad. But The Mandalorian is an epic TV show, and they take care of their characters and the plots in that story. So right now I'm just going back over areas that could use more color and more work, because I like to add in as much detail as possible. Did I hear about, yes, did I hear the news about the High Republic? Yes, if you are making reference to the new books that are coming out, which I would love to read to get deeper into the Star Wars lore. Speaking of that, I also saw a couple of news articles about Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Admiral Thrawn, which is probably one of the coolest things. And you obviously know that Jon Favreau had some, or has some say in that because he was the director for Iron Man and has good rapport with Robert Downey Jr., which it would be so cool to see Robert Downey Jr. acting in Star Wars. And it'll most likely be in the Ahsoka TV show, since that's who she is after. So yeah, like I said, we're getting close to the end to having this piece be finished. And I'll be posting it tomorrow at 5 o'clock on my Instagram page. So the last part I'm going to be working on is the lightsaber. I'll be using paint for that so that the color will really pop instead of using a marker. I'm going to be switching to a different marker. I think maybe N6. And also, I was thinking about doing a giveaway soon. I'm not really sure what to give away exactly. I was thinking maybe like a CGC slab sketch cover that the winner would like drawn, or maybe just a sketch cover or a painting. But I just really want to do a giveaway. So waiting on that lightsaber, yeah, me too. That's the best part that I normally save for last, just to make sure that I get it right. Yeah, I'm just about finished adding in the details. Then I'll move on to the lightsaber. going back in with the black. Yeah, it was nice to talk. Be going in with N7. Hello, Anthony. I want to say thank you all for sticking around with me for my first live stream. We're about an hour and 10 minutes into this live stream so far, which is really good timing, especially for any one of my pieces, since normally when I'm painting it could take up to a couple of hours, like 10 hours for just one painting. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards doing more sketch covers instead of paintings. So I still can produce quality work, but in a faster time. Alright, now I'm going to be going in with a liner marker by Prismacolor to do the controls on his belt. And then at the end I'll be going in with the gel pen to make it look like it's shining. Then I'm going in with the red Prismacolor liner marker. And then a lighter shade of gray for the other controls. Hi Sarah, says, how do you find good reference photos? Love your artwork, by the way. You really inspire me. Thank you, that means a lot. For finding good reference photos, statues are kind of helpful, or just for some paintings or sketch covers, what I like to do is just to grab a bunch of photos of a certain character and kind of get a feel for what look I'm going for, or to start off with a pose and then maybe get something that's really helpful for me is to find a turnaround of a character, which is where someone may have drawn character at every single angle, which is really helpful to find a good reference, because sometimes there aren't any good pictures or poses of a character and you kind of have to figure out something for yourself. So turnarounds, maybe looking at statues or compiling a bunch of photos of a character to kind of get started with brainstorming. So now moving on to the lightsaber. Hi, Hidden Gems. Thank you. Actually, I'm going with a lighter gray for the lightsaber. Gonna be going in with N5 to add in some shadows. Then I'm going back in with the black. Hey, what's up, Lucellus? Right. And then now for the lightsaber, to really make it pop, I'm going to be going in with my PBO painter marker to make the white part really stand out. Thank you. Alright, so I'm going to wait for that to dry. Then I'm going to just add in a few more details to his suit. And then after that, I'll be going in with golden paint to make the lightsaber. So yeah, we're almost finished. Just want to say thank you again to all the people in the chat for joining me for my first live stream. And if you're liking this video so far, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. So now I'm going to be switching over to the microns that I have here. To work on some of the gears on his belt. Says, I don't know if you answered this already, but who's your favorite superhero? So my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. Yeah. Love me some Spider-Man, Peter Parker. So right now I'm just outlining the buttons on his belt, or controls on his belt, so that they'll be further defined and you can see them. It says, did you find working with white sketch covers easier than working with the colored sketch covers? Yes, I would prefer to work with the colored sketch covers, but you can do some really cool things with the sketch covers that are already colored. Like the only ones that I have worked with that are already colored are the Symbiote Spider-Man ones, and then also, yeah, I did one of She-Venom recently on the blank sketch cover, and when you add color to those, it really pops. I like to use a lot of whites or reds on those type of sketch covers, so I would say I would prefer to work on the white blank sketch covers, but when I'm feeling optimistic, I'll go for a colored sketch cover. switch it to a thicker micron. So yeah, I'm just working on the control panels, and I'll go back to finishing up the lightsaber, and we're pretty much finished. I'm gonna switch back to a smaller micron nib. Just add in the final details to his suit before I go back to the lightsaber. Someone said, what in your opinion are the best Spider-Man movies? I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I've never seen any Spider-Man movies, but I want to. So there's like a big debate on like who is the best Spider-Man. We can definitely rule out Andrew Garfield as being one of the best Spider-Man. I like to say that each Spider-Man was good for their era, for their time, but my favorite is Tom Holland's Spider-Man. A lot of people don't really mess with that version of Spider-Man because they changed up a lot, but you have to think about it in context of Spider-Man in the MCU versus in the comic book world, so things are going to be different because it is technically a different universe. So, I guess to kind of get a feel for the character and his origin story, I would recommend going with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, just if you haven't had an introduction to the character yet. But if you already know Spider-Man, I would highly recommend watching Spider-Man Far From Home and then Spider-Man Homecoming. Those are awesome installations in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but also Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man just for nostalgia. Yeah, no problem. Alright, so I'm gonna go grab the white paint, or maybe I might just use the gel pen to add more white to the lightsaber, but I'm gonna go grab a paintbrush. So right now I'm gonna start working on the lightsaber and grab my palette. white to the palette. Also for the white paint, I'm using golden acrylic paint. Like, you can already kind of see the difference between the white over here and the white over here. Now I'm going to go in with the red acrylic paint by Golden as well. Just a dot. Also, if the live stream happens to go out, that is because my phone died. But I think I will make it before it dies. So for this being my first live stream, I feel that I did a good job. Yeah, I would just like to do more live streams in the future so I can show you guys my process and what I'm working on currently in real time. Because mainly outside of my edited videos, I just post on Instagram the final product of paintings or sketch covers that I do. So you can see the red is standing out compared to the marker, which is why I like to use paint or lightsabers, because the colors are more vibrant. Thank you. So I'm just gonna see if I can add in some red details to his suit to show like the light bouncing off from the lightsaber, if it'll show up a little bit. Yep, and it did show up pretty good. This is just the first time for me. Yeah, this is cool. Thank you. Alright, I'm going to go in with a deeper red to see if I can define this a little more. And for the final product, I will be posting this on my Instagram page tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So yeah, I'm almost finished. Just going in with my micron to add in some details on the lightsaber. And then I'll probably finish after I go in with the gel pen, the white gel pen, to add in some more details. So yeah, this is basically where we are at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and end the live because I don't want my phone to die without me saying goodbye. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, for staying in the chat for as long as you did, and you'll be able to see the very final product on my Instagram page on tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So yeah, thank you guys for watching my first live stream, and I hope to do more.